I did not know that the like I feel pretty, oh so pretty, I feel pretty and cry. Yeah, I did not know that that was from West Side Story. That was just something that like my mom said. I was like, oh, mom. She's always walking around the house singing something. And I always like literally, like I always thought that that was just like
She just wrote it.
like her little thing. And then I was like, wait a second. I was like, they stole mom's song.
Hey, Brooke, don't stop believing. And you're like, Mom, that's such a you
like,
should
so
copyright that.
inspirational. I was like, dang, some of these have like a good beat and everything. No, she would literally always walk around and be like, I feel pretty, I was so pretty. And I was like, oh. And then they started singing that in the movie, and I was like, dang, who knew?
Did they credit her or?
Yes, she was pretty far down the list of the credits though. And then, it just said Brooke's mom.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't credited by name, just Brooke's mom. That's all she needs to be known by. I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and bright.
What does it mean tonight?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to the Remake Hot Take podcast with Brooke and Marriya. And this is the show where we play film and TV executives and we pitch remakes of our favorite and sometimes new media, which is what today is, because we had never seen this version, the 2021 West Side Story. Brooke, had you seen the other versions?
No. Really, the only interaction I've had with West Side Story as like a media is in like classes talking about Romeo and Juliet, and then being like, and of course West Side Story is a modern retelling of Romeo and Juliet. And I'd be like, okay.
You were like, my mom wrote that.
I'd be like, yeah, she co-wrote. She authored. So yeah, I had no interaction, but like, it's Romeo and Juliet, so I was like, well, their relationship is destined for greatness. So I kind of knew a bit of what was going to happen, the basic plot line, but yeah, went in blind. Otherwise, I knew that what's her name, Rachel Zegler, she had not been invited to the Oscars, and then we made a joke about it, and then she was invited, so fucking bitch in my opinion.
It was weird that Maddie Ziegler was invited. Ziegler,
Yeah,
I don't know, from Dance Moms, when she has 2 lines in the movie.
I thought, I don't know. So that's what I knew about it. And then Ansel Elgort, he is, yeah, he's a big part of like why I didn't love this movie that much, which we can dive into. But yeah, I went in pretty blind. Had you seen the older version?
Yeah, my dad had showed me the 1961, but I think I had only seen that like once, and even that one, I don't know how long it is, but it felt too long. But then I had also seen the Glee one.
Okay.
That's Artie's directorial debut on Glee, with Something's Coming. I was like, why is this so ingrained in me? And I remembered, did you ever watch Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? The Floss song in the High School Musical episode?
Yeah.
Where the kid like auditions for Ryan or whatever with the Floss song, like, deep is stuck, I'm out of luck, I'm at a loss without my floss. And that's it's a parody of Something's Coming, and I didn't put that together before. So they should have gotten him to play Tony.
Brought him in. His big moment.
I didn't know exactly like what they were going to change and stuff. I know they added like Valentina, so that Rita Moreno could be back into it, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, was she the original actress?
She was the original Anita.
Okay.
Yeah. So, before they had Doc, like she runs the drugstore in this one, but before they had the actual like Doc guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now it's women in business.
Yeah, girl boss.
Yes, we love to see it.
The camera work was great.
Mm-hmm.
The dance, but like, when do they choreograph this? And they're like, you got to sweep the floors, and it's like, no, mom, I have to snap with my friends.
Okay, so yeah, let's just dive in. So I don't want to be like a hater, but I'm gonna hate. Like, I know so many people, like my film friends, were like, this is in my top 10. Like, I was like, okay, high expectations. And everyone on Twitter, like, they always like are like reposting this scene where they come into the gym at like for the dance and they like sweep over and the camera's like moving through the crowd. Okay, so that's cool. But I have to be in a very specific mood to enjoy a musical. But I feel like, and I know that like it is a musical, so it has to be a musical. Those are the vibes. But like, when like from the get-go, it comes out and it's supposed to be these like rough and tumble, hardened boys in the streets. And they're doing ballet and they're elegant. And I was like, these men are gay. I was like, what? I'm so confused. These are like the most graceful, effeminate gangsters I have ever seen. I was like, what is going on? And then from there, I was like, it's just, I don't know. It was hard to like suspense my disbelief. And I'll point out that at certain points in the movie, other actors and characters also seem to be confused about why someone is suddenly singing. Like, they'll be having the conversation, like police brutality, raping women, and then someone will be like, they'll hit like a high C, and then everyone's like, what? Like, for a brief moment, there were several times where the other characters just like kind of were like, and then they get into the song. And I'm like, I'm right there with you. I'm like, what? I know it's a musical, but this is hard for me to get into. So we'll see. Maybe I'll like it better once I like know all the songs. Like, this is not a film problem. We'll get into problems that I thought were in the film or just weird things. This is more of a Brooke problem with music.
Brooke's remake is a musical with no songs.
Yeah, I actually just want this to be very serious, no singing at all. We don't even have like melodic speeches. Everyone's pretty monotone. So this is just a Brooke problem. Like, when I first saw Les Mis, like, I didn't know it was a musical, didn't know it was like sad, and I was like laughing because I just can't take people seriously in these situations. So I was sitting there in the theater, like, what?
Oh, you were in the theater.
Yeah, I was in the theater. Anne Hathaway's dying of like syphilis. I'm like laughing my ass off. I'm like, oh, and then people look at you like you have a problem. But it might change. I think like a big key for me is knowing the songs, like musical theater people. I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of the action. So I need to get the choreography down, get the notes down. And then I might.
You're asking to be cast in West
Yeah.
Side Story.
I'm like, if I don't want to watch it if I'm not a part of it. Once I like learned the songs from Les Mis, then it's a performance that I watch it and I sing along to it. One time I like watched Les Mis and I was singing. I mean, I was like by myself in my room. This was not at a theater. I will say I do have some sense of like decorum, but I was like by myself watching on my laptop. And I was singing along with each song. And like my roommate the next day was like, oh, you really like the Les Mis soundtrack. She was like, you were at it for like 2.5 hours. And I was like, Megan, I was watching the movie. We were going in like sequential order there. And she was like, that makes a lot more sense. So I was like, yeah. Do you not notice like the long pauses in between each bit? So who knows? Maybe once I learn all of the songs aside from I Feel Pretty, then I'll be more into it. But I don't know. Personally, I can't take men singing seriously.
Brooke, I think you just like karaoke.
I do. I really just want someone to invite me to karaoke. I'm lonely. No one's ever invited me. Well, one person did, but I did not do karaoke.
I guess that's the nice thing about singing along to a movie is if it's a duet, you could just sing one part and then they sing back to you. So it makes you feel like you have someone listening.
See, so as soon as I get it down, Ansel, Elgort, me and him together forever, I guess. Not really though. Men singing, can't take them seriously. They should be like, I don't know, harassing women.
Well, they do that too.
They do.
But I mean, I just think like if you're thinking about a gang, it would make more sense for them to, like, I would go with the scream and clap, not a whistle and snap, like that feels very gentle, like ASMR.
Yeah.
Like it's not like aggressive.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, I thought for a second that they were supposed to be gay. I was like, this is so modern. I was like, oh my gosh, who's the lead? Like, I was very confused. It's like very, very feminine, very gentle. And then they're like, you know what we're gonna do? Murder each other in the next scene. And I was like, whoa, that's a real tone shift there. But the dancing was really good. That was like, the choreography was really beautiful. I was just like,
I liked when they like started painting over this like Puerto Rican flag, and they aren't even trying to cover it up. They're just like so gently coating their hands in paint and slapping. And it's like multiple layers here, multiple coats would help.
See, I thought the paint colors were like the colors of like Ireland, the Irish flag or whatever. And then the paint was just like black that they were putting up there. I was like,
black and orange. They real Halloween.
I was like, where's the green? Where'd that go? Where's the green and the white? But yeah, they were just like, I'm just gonna throw a little splash here, a little dab here. I was like, we can still see the mural. It's very large. You guys need ladders and better planning.
Well, they can't hold ladders if they're constantly doing their little barrel turns.
Yeah.
You have to pack light. The paint cans were problematic already.
Got like that counterweight thing going on, swinging it around.
It's hard to spot.
Yeah.
You just have baby John like just off on his own because he's lost balance.
Oh, he just like they spin too much that it's like a top and he kind of just rolls off into the distance like a cartoon character. Yeah. Anyways, let me just say, as much as I am it being a musical going to be like enraptured in the musical world, Ansel Elgort really ruins it. He really, it's like, oh, there he is every time he pops up. And I will say, like, specifically at the like dance, like the dance in the gym sequence, his face is not sexy and enticing, which I think it's supposed to be. It's like this man has several bodies hidden somewhere. Like his resting face is scary. Like there's no other way to say it. Like you should rewind and like pause in on his face at the dance sequence, but it's like, I would also be worried if Marriya was behind the bleachers with this man that is looking at her like he has duct tape and a shovel in the back of his car. So that alone. And then I was also texting Marriya because I was like, I don't know, I feel like the vibes are off with this Ansel guy. Like, was he not canceled at one point or another? And yes, he has like several sexual assault allegations against him, I think. He played an asshole in Divergent, and I have not been able to come back.
It seems like he plays an asshole in real life as well. So
yeah. So that was his only
real method. But no, I was watching an interview with Rachel Zegler, and she was saying that rehearsals for West Side Story started about 3 years ago. So I think that they were in too deep with this guy by the time the allegations came out.
Yeah, that's true.
but I have gotten really into Letterboxd and reading like Letterboxd reviews, and everyone hates his casting, except for I think that part when they're on the balcony and Marriya is like, stop, go away, get out of here, and he's like, no, and he continues to approach her on the balcony. At that point I was like, Ansel Elgort's well casted because he doesn't respect women's boundaries.
Yeah, he's a bummer throughout the entire thing. Also his accent in relation to the other people's accents, weird. What's going on there? He's kind of just like figuring it out as he goes along. Speaking of accents, like Riff sounds like a subway rat with sinus congestion. Like his voice annoyed me so much throughout the entire thing. I think that's like the perfect description of what his accent was doing. But that accent, and then I love the one of my favorite scenes was actually the jail scene. I think was like by far my favorite one, and my favorite like song too.
Oh, I didn't care for it.
Really? And there was one, there's like one cop that's like, he gets like punched in the stomach and he goes, my Elsa. I was like, that's funny. Classy moment, but I just like that guy's accent in particular. My Elsa.
No, nothing ever happens to them. Like nothing, there's no consequences ever
to the gang, or
yeah, and it's like they're constantly jaywalking. You want to know how to get rid of these people? Stop pressing the brakes. Like honestly, like come on.
Yeah, if this was like New York City in 2022, we'd have several instances of traffic accidents.
This is why we take the subway, because it's like, oh, sorry, I'm an hour late. They were doing the I Want to Be in America number.
Yeah, I know. I thought of
James Corden's.
Yeah, I thought of James Corden. I was like, oh God, these people would be so annoying.
The crosswalk musical. It already is a crosswalk musical.
Yeah, it's not even the crosswalk. It's like the entire intersection for several blocks will be very nicely choreographed numbers. But, plot wise, Romeo and Juliet, I feel like they liked each other for more than a day. Like, I feel like Romeo and Juliet, it was like, I don't know, a week, couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it was something more than like a day. And something that's different from like Romeo and Juliet is that, spoiler alert, Tony literally kills Marriya's brother, Bernardo. And then he shows up to the balcony and he's like, yeah, I murdered your brother. And she's like, I tweeted about this. She's like, oh my God, no. And then she's like, oh my God, you're so sexy. And then like has sex with him. And I'm like, did you hate your brother? Like,
I mean, definitely not the same night. Like, at least get some distance.
She knew they had limited time. She was like, I gotta get it in. But
I think, but I think like, especially like the Chino kill me thing at the very end, where he's like, I can't live without Marriya. And it's like, you've lived a fairly long time without her. Like, why don't we try ice cream first? And then
like, get better coping mechanisms.
But I love when we first meet Tony, because he's like, dude, I've had time to think. And it's like when men first discover therapy, he's like, did you know that there's like mental health?
Yeah.
Not just physical. And then
like
he's like, like when things aren't familiar, we got an instinct to like act out. And it's like, honey, your friend's a Trump supporter. Like,
I like how like his definition of like finding himself is just like, hey, you know what? I kind of feel really bad about almost killing someone. And then you know what he does after that great realization? Kill someone. So I was like, Tony, let's revisit some of those lessons learned in prison.
He
But
comes back into therapy. It happened again.
he's like, God damn.
Relapse.
He's like, I didn't even mean it this time. The knife was just so stabby. It was right there.
Just deep breathing.
Deep breathing, keep away from sharp objects. But
Why do we think they're called jets versus sharks?
I don't know, but all I could think of was Benny and the Jets. That's all I could think about anytime the word someone said the Jets. But
I mean, and maybe I'm forgetting the original, but like they were at a school sponsored dance. Are they all in school? They're like 30.
those men are like 25 to 35 years old. So they've been held back several years, probably from all the fighting. Oh, Ansel Elgort's fighting stance is also hilarious. Like Bernardo's good. He's like sexy. I believe his dancing. I believe in him. Ansel Elgort, he like comes up to do his little fighty fight, and his stance is literally like he's literally standing there. He's also like so much taller than everyone there. He looks like he's a tall and like skinny man. He looks like just like the, like the emoji meme of like the white man just like standing there like that. That's what he looks like. And I was like, that's very funny.
Where was his fucking parole officer the whole time? Like they were like, that's the high stakes, is that he can't go out because of his parole officer. What a lax parole officer.
I know. They like he's like, oh, I can't go to the dance. And then there are like officers at the dance. And he's like, hey, Greg, I haven't seen you since prison. And it's like, fine. So I'm like,
but basically,
okay.
if law enforcement did their job, the movie wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like one of the like obvious themes or whatever is that like oppressed people fight against other oppressed people or people more oppressed than them rather
the
than
true enemy was gentrification.
I know. I actually really liked that theme amongst like the women in this film or whatever, like especially like the white women where they're like with the gang at the end or whatever. And it was like, you know what beats like racism? Rapists. I was like, women standing together, I guess. But it also showed like how the white women were like immediately thrown out of like the privileged space once like anything happened. So I thought those scenes were like pretty interesting too.
I just wrote the song Something's Coming. When it goes, something's coming, don't know when. Come on, deliver to me is what I say when I'm waiting for my Doordash delivery.
When you're like checking the app and it says Greg is approaching with your order and you're like,
and I just snap, silent.
You're like, yeah. Me too. Wait, side note, does DoorDash ever deliver to the wrong apartment? Because it has happened literally like 15 times to the point where my roommate and I are thinking of making a spreadsheet of the floors of all nearby apartments. Because like it's literally like a treasure hunt because we're not going to just give up. Like we know it's nearby somewhere. And so we literally like look at clues. We're like, that's the apartment in like 208. That's the floor over there. And then
so like apartment number or apartment building?
Apartment buildings and numbers. So like my apartment's like one big like brick block, and then like there's like 4 little sections in each. So those are all different numbers, but they'll be different buildings on different streets. Like they just get somewhat close to us, find a door, open it up, shove it in. And it has happened.
They're really focusing on the dash part more than the door.
The door. They're like, that part not important, but I did get it there quickly. Yeah, it's insane. But
I only have one building and then they leave it in the lobby. So I don't have very many problems with that. Yeah, I also said I had to do square dancing in school and it was nothing like this.
Yeah.
Oh, it was very different.
I was thinking about ballroom dance classes. I was like, yeah, I never had that amount of energy that they all have in there.
I mean, how can they hate each other when they're constantly meeting up to choreograph?
I know. Like, hey, so we do hate your fucking guts, but I really want you to turn fast on that spin next time.
Oh god, the Marriya song.
Mhm.
The first time I ever kissed a guy, he immediately called me Marriya, and this is what I imagine he sang on the way home. I've just kissed a girl named Marriya.
I know. I was actually thinking about that during the movie. Not that specific incident. That would be weird. But I was thinking about how everyone constantly calls you Marriya instead of
Mhm.
Marriya. And I was like, ah, this is almost her song.
It's so annoying when he's just singing in the street, and it's like, dude, it's probably like quiet hours.
Yeah, if it was real, they would be like opening up their windows and being like, shut the fuck up, dude.
And like the most beautiful sound he's ever heard. Has he ever heard a slide whistle?
No,
Those are beautiful.
he hasn't.
This guy is singing about Marriya on his entire way home. Then they sing like Tonight, Tonight. And no neighbors like, hey, Bernardo, there's a power ballad you should probably hear about. Like, like there's no way they did this in secret. So on the I Like to Be in America, I found it interesting that the women of color were the ones who wanted to stay in America.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually it's women of color who have the hardest time, but I guess like America is maybe better than other countries
Mm-hmm.
for like sexism and stuff like that. So I don't know. I found that
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I think like with Anita in particular, it's like two things. It's like what the women want for their like children and their
Mhm.
future. And what I think you know what the main difference is that the women are used to being in positions of not in power and
Mhm.
used to having like systematic oppression against them or sexism or any form of oppression like that that the men are not used to. You know, it was like
Mhm.
the men come from Puerto Rico to America and aren't used to like discrimination like that. Like
That's
they
very true.
realize that their country like lacks some of the like resources and stuff that that makes like America enticing, but they have like
Mhm.
respect respect for
Mhm.
themselves and their bodies, that the women are like, we don't really have that there. We just also have racism here too, so we'll take this. But I think with like Anita, she definitely demonstrates that like desire for a better future for her children and for herself, being like
Mhm.
a self-made woman or whatever that version of the American dream is, where you can have like an entrepreneurial like spirit, and she wants to like make her own um like tailor
Yeah.
sewing dress company or whatever. But yeah, specifically like for her supposed children's future, when he's like, well, we'll go back to Puerto Rico or whatever, and she was like, you think I'm taking me and my 5 children back to Puerto Rico? So yeah, I think it's probably some sort of combination of like the women are used to not being in a position of that holds must like respect and stuff, and the men are confused.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a bunch of other stuff at play, but that's just like the first thing that came to my mind there.
Yeah.
Should we jump into our remakes then?
Sure. So, Brooke, what is your remake idea?
Okay, kind of like with the Twilight one, for fans who are listening to our episodes sequentially here. I don't have too many. I think I was like too invested in like this new story plot line that I was like, what would I change? I don't know. I just wouldn't watch it. No offense, West Side Story. Aside from like
Yeah,
actually, I mean, I wasn't in the musical mood.
it
So
was
like
long. They could
it
have done
was
a
like,
West Side short story.
yeah, it was like as if Peter Jackson was directing this movie. It was like a solid 2 hours and 40 minutes. So
Would
when
you not watch the Zack Snyder cut?
I I don't think so. I want 8 hours in this film, but I want it to be just the rehearsals and all the times that like dancers dropped each other, someone like twisted an ankle. I just want
The America's Funniest Home Videos cut.
yeah, I want like zoom ins on guys getting their balls kicked by someone.
And just
dancer.
specifically Ansel Elgort.
Yeah, I really hope there's a bonus feature cut of just like all the takes where he gets kicked accidentally by someone. But yeah, so aside from like just not casting Ansel Elgort in that role, because like I think I would enjoy it more too. Like aside from like the fact that his accent is weird, I don't think he's like a great actor in this movie. I don't think he has any chemistry with Rachel Zegler, and he just looks scary because of all of that. I'm not like invested or in their love or like attracted to him in any way. Like if he was like the hottest man alive, then I'd be like, yes, girl. I'd be like, oh, you should kill more of your family members. Like, I get it. It's only been a day. Like, yes, jump him now. So if someone hotter could be cast, that'd be great. But other ideas that I would have, one is that I think this could be a pivotal plot shift, is that Chino is a good and confident dancer. I think that eliminates a lot of problems. I think if Chino just like got out there, he had practiced his like cha in his bedroom. He had done a little like research beforehand. He gets out there on the dance floor and he does it. He's won. He's won by Marriya. She can't resist him. And then Ansel Elgort just like stands in the corner and is weird. And the movie ends there. Like they all live happily ever after.
I think that's the question, right? Like, is he not in the Sharks because he's working on his little like adding machine repair, or does he just have no sense of rhythm? Because then maybe they could like put him in the back. They could just you just do the snaps.
They're like, no footwork for you. No. Your percussion. They just have him beatboxing in the corner. I would like him more. I would like him more for that. So that's one idea. And then another one is this does not take place in New York. This takes place in Wisconsin. I don't know. I feel like everyone has a Midwestern accent. No one's getting into a fight. No one's getting into a fight. You can't possibly mistake a Midwestern, maybe even borderline Canadian accent as aggressive. It's like, like, no, that's not aggressive. That's an invitation to stay a little longer. Like, come and chat and have some fun, have some friends.
Have some cheese.
Have some cheese. Little rat voice man riff would like that. And everyone's okay. So I think that's another potential solution to, some of the problems that we were having accent wise in this film and geographically. I think they're happier there. They're not fighting over anything because there's nothing to fight over. It's like, oh, do you want this cornfield? No. Okay. And then
I don't know. West Side, Wisconsin is pretty rough, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't been there in many years. Not since the gang violence really ramped up there. Yeah, it just hits a little hard when you're in the middle of a field instead of a salt mine. You can do a lot more damage.
Just as a side note, Brooke and I and our friend Silvana are coming off, and my father are coming off our win for our film that we made in 24 hours, that we won the audience award, and in that Brooke played Mom from Wisconsin. Would you like to give a little sneak peek?
Yeah, I was trying to channel like Midwestern mom, but it was like, oh, and your Marriya's character's name was Mary, so we're all in the Marriya territory here. But what did I say? I was like, it was something that got cut out for time. We had to budget for time. But I was like, oh, Mary, have I told you? Like, oh, I just sent you over the Kohl's cash. Did you get the Kohl's cash? I just sent it over to your email. So, they're not getting in a fight.
Did you say rumble?
Oh, they got into a rumble.
That just sounds so fun.
They got into a rumble over in no, I feel like I'm like it's sometimes Wisconsin, it sometimes goes over to Europe for a second. I don't know where I am. But you know,
You're
that
the Anna Delvey.
yeah, sometimes it's like, is that a European immigrant in Wisconsin? No, that's a made-up heiress. But yeah, so either one of those options. Chino is a good dancer. He took like one ballroom dance class. He's the man of her dreams. You know, Wisconsin or Ansel Elgort's not there, and I think that's like the main one that if I could fight for an actual remake, that'd be it. Because everyone else was fabulous. Riff annoyed me, but I think that was deliberate. that was good for his character. But Anita was great. Bernardo, awesome. So everyone else did their part. But Marriya, what's your remake?
Okay, I have a whole narrative.
Oh, okay, I'm ready.
I would like to present the Kanye West Side Story that is inspired by the conflict between Kanye West and Pete Davidson over Kim Kardashian. So we start in 2021. We hear Kate McKinnon whistling in the streets of New York City. She is quickly joined by the rest of the Jets, which is the cast of SNL, as well as the leader of the Jets, John Mulaney. They dance around New York City looking for someone to impersonate or make fun of. The leader of the Sharks, Kanye West, hears about the commotion and goes to fight them with his sharks, aka his publicity people, trying their best, trailing after him. The cops, aka Instagram and Twitter moderators fighting for their lives, arrive to break up the commotion. And so then basically John Mulaney decides enough is enough, and SNL is going to like host a show tonight, and they'll get Kanye West to come to promote his new album, but they'll actually plan for like a rumble. And he also promises Pete Davidson will be there, and everyone from SNL is like, that guy's like only half on the show like most of the time, but he's like, no, he'll be there. It fits like too well.
It does. Like, don't let them hear about this. They will do this sketch. I'm surprised they haven't already, honestly.
So then John Mulaney goes to visit Pete in Staten Island. Pete says he wants to try something new, though. He had a lot of time to think while filming The King of Staten Island, and he thinks movies are his future. John Mulaney reminds him everyone hated his character and set it up, and he should come to the SNL taping tonight because he promised everyone Pete would be there. And John Mulaney also reveals his secret plan. He has booked Kim Kardashian, who used to be married to Kanye West, for the show tonight. Pete begins to sing Something's Coming, except the lyrics have changed to Something's Coming, I Know When, Saturday, 11:30 p.m.
Oh my God. Live from New York. It's Saturday night.
And so then we cut to SNL, where we see Pete and Kim Kardashian meet each other and do the Aladdin sketch where they first met, and they kiss. And this enrages Kanye, who agrees to rumble as long as Pete attends. Pete wants nothing to do with it, singing in the streets of New York City, I've just kissed a girl named Kim. And then meanwhile, Kanye, so Kanye is kind of playing like Bernardo and Chino. Yeah, at the same time.
Okay.
But meanwhile, Kanye and his now girlfriend Julia Fox began to feud over their lives together. Basically, John Mulaney buys a gun, which Pete tries to steal with no success, which I didn't understand that part in the original movies, because it's like, if you want to get someone's gun, like just wait for them to start spinning and then grab it. Like, it's not.
He is one tap dance number away from not having that in his hand.
The rumble occurs and Kanye West fatally stabs John Mulaney, whose last words are, I'm sorry, JJ Bittenbinder. of his. In anger, Pete Davidson kills Kanye West, not with a weapon, but with scathing remarks. So meanwhile, on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim gushes on and on about how much she loves Pete Davidson, singing a version of I Feel Pretty, which is I Feel Ochre.
Oh my gosh.
Kanye West arrives on set claiming Pete Davidson trashed him on social media, and there have been a bunch of birthday parties he hasn't been invited to. Julia goes to warn the cast of SNL that Kanye is planning on killing Pete, but she ends up getting distracted by talking about her book that she calls a masterpiece. And she talks about uncut gems, and no one believes her. And so Pete runs out onto the streets of New York City begging Kanye to kill him. To his relief, Kim arrives perfectly alive, but Kanye shoots Pete Davidson, who dies in Kim's arms. She takes the gun and says she's been staying out of the whole affair to be a better mom, but this is enough. The cops come to arrest Kanye, and he is also banned from all social media. And that is the Kanye West Side Story.
Oh my gosh.
It would also eventually get turned into an actual stage musical, which would premiere in a new venue. You guessed it, the Kanye West End.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I think, we will have producers in contact with us shortly. That was really good.
It's remakehottake@gmail.com.
Yeah, we're easy to find. It's what you think our Gmail might be. Wow, that was beautiful. I'm at a loss for words. That's perfect. No edits.
Thank you. Well, Brooke, what have you been watching lately?
I've been like in a mood where I'm just like gonna scroll through like Netflix or HBO Max and just like pick a movie. Like I'm not often in that mood. I'm usually like I think of a movie that I want to watch, or like I consult or do this thing where like anytime I have like a craving for a movie, I'll like write it down in a notes app so that I have like a running list of like movies that have popped into my head and I wanted to watch like of late. And then if I'm like, oh, I want to watch something tonight, then I'll go and I'll consult the list and see if anything's still jumping out. But recently I've just been like, oh, whatever.
Are you out of movies or?
No, I just haven't felt like consulting the notes app. I'm just feeling really random recently. So whimsical.
Well, 20s are all about being spontaneous.
I know. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can keep doing this, just clicking on a movie on Netflix. But one thing I have now gotten on the Bridgerton track. So I had watched like the first episode of the first season whenever it came out like a year or 2 years ago or whatever. And I wasn't into it. I was like, okay. And because I had like kind of already scrolled through and seen like what happened. And I don't think that Daphne and the Duke of Hastings have like, I don't think they're a good couple. I don't like their story. Their love story like ended in like the middle of the season. And then it was just like weird. And he just lies to her and she lies to him. And so I hated it because I kind of like already had those spoilers. So I really only watched like the first 2 episodes.
Would you recast the Duke with Ansel Elgort?
No. No, I don't think that actor.
We need somewhere to put him.
No, we don't. He can stay home. I don't speaking of though, I don't think that actor, I don't know any of the actors' names, but I don't think he's particularly great. Everyone like I saw other reviews that he like he's similar to Emilia Clarke, but Emilia Clarke actually he exclusively acts with his eyebrows, which is what someone else said. And I was like, that's true. He's like, I love you. And that's like all he gives. He's like, I want to fuck you. So I didn't like
well, maybe he's just gotten really used to the mask.
Yeah, true. He's like, I have to emote with my eyes. But anyways, everyone was talking about Bridgerton season 2 that came out like a month ago. Because they said, this is what got me. They said that it was very similar vibes to the 2005 Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley, which, as we all know, is a cinematic masterpiece and is one of my favorites. But everyone was saying that it was similar. So I was like, oh, well, I'll give it a try. And then I couldn't just start in on the second season. So I was like, okay, start on the first season, watched all that. It was like, okay, I like it better than I did. I still don't think they have the best story. I do really like Daphne, and I like her a lot better in the second season. She's only in there for like a couple of bits, but I thought like I like her character where it goes. Eyebrows man, he's not recast in the second season at all. He is an absent father figure. Anyways, so the main like characters, each one focuses on like a different Bridgerton sibling and their love life, and this one's about Anthony and Kate, and it's so good. Oh my god, I watched all of it in like 3 or 4 days. I think there are only 8 episodes, so that wasn't too hard of a feat, maybe like an episode or 2 a night. And so good. Definite Pride and Prejudice. I was watching, so I was like, oh, I love this season. And then I was like, oh, I love Pride and Prejudice. And then I was like, do I just want men to be mean to me? Like, I was like, do I want like emotionally unavailable kind of angry men? And I was like, maybe. But
Okay, I think you're also glossing over the really important thing, which is that they're mean but rich.
mean but rich. Yeah, I'm like, I want them to be so nasty with their money. So I don't know, something. I mean, it's a common theme, but I was like, I don't know that this is actually what I want, but interesting. So I watched all that, and then following that, I was on like a rom-com romance like high, and one of the random movies I picked from Netflix was like a movie that was in my mom's like DVD collection. Like, well, I was my DVD collection, you have like the flip file folder of all the DVDs. And she had a couple sprinkled in there, and this was one of them that I had literally never watched, but I like clicked on it because I knew the title from the flip folder of DVDs. And it's Just Like Heaven with Reese Witherspoon and Mark Ruffalo. And it was really cute. It was adorable. Reese Witherspoon plays this doctor who gets in a car crash, and Mark Ruffalo rents out her apartment while she's in a coma, and her like spirit comes to him in the apartment, and he's the only one that can see her. And then they fall in love, and he saves her from the coma. It's like really cute. I really enjoyed it. That's like a first watch. I was like, ah, that's adorable. Mark Ruffalo is like really like just a cutie in this movie. So
Is he mean but rich, or
no, he's not.
man,
He's like
you can't win them all.
he's like a floral garden architect thing. His wife just died. He's a widower. I don't know how
I thought you were gonna stop at floral garden.
He has a beautiful floral garden. Very lush. No, he's like some sort of landscape design person, but so yeah, probably rich. They live in San Francisco. He can afford like renting a really nice apartment. So maybe he's rich, but he's not really mean. It's more like, I don't know. It was just really cute. I will definitely like add that to my list of like favorite rom-coms.
The way I almost with complete confidence said, oh, San Francisco, that's where Sleepless in Seattle is set.
Yes, Seattle, San Francisco, little known suburb. Very, very nice there this time of year, I hear. No, I mean close. We're on the West Coast, so probably like
that's the only close.
It's a several hours drive. And then I also watched The Truman Show, which is such a good movie. Have you seen it? Yeah, I've only seen it like one other time before, and that time I had watched on a whim, and I remember being like blown away. Jim Carrey isn't like my favorite. Yeah, he's not my favorite actor, but this movie is just so good, and it's so like the shots at the end are just so beautiful. Like when he's like at the boat, and it like shows like the super wide shot of like the painted on sky and everything. It's such a good movie. I can't believe like they didn't make us watch that for like a philosophy class or something. I took multiple philosophy classes. It was never an assignment, but I feel like it should have been. But yeah, so I finally rewatched that one again and that one was just so good. And then
What if you were just being Truman Show, so they didn't want to give you any ideas? Everyone in those philosophy classes were paid actors.
oh my God, that would be really upsetting because some people were really dumb in that class.
That was their role.
They had the worst takes. I was like, wow, this is painful.
The worst writing.
One of the classes
know?
was called like Pain and Suffering. Do you think the writers of the Truman Show were trying to, well, the Brooke Rees show were trying to give me a hint? That's okay. My life's fine. I've been able to like go outside of like the tri-state area. So this is a really big set if so. And then I watched Clueless, which is also great movie. So I was kind of I watched Clueless before I watched Truman's Show. And then I'll shout
You got to get the timeline right.
Yeah, well,
people are gonna fact check in the comments.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, Brooke, we actually saw your HBO Max browsing history, and we did notice that Clueless was actually clicked on 2 days before the Truman Show. So I just want to get everything laid out here, just in case.
Just an alibi.
Well, that brings me to my next shout out, which is another podcast that I just started listening to today called True Crime Garage. A coworker had recommended it. And it's really good. I feel like you obviously you have to like the sound of people's voices on podcasts that you like. And I was like, these two, they got some good ones. So I was like, I can listen to them. They're like two guys. I don't know anything about them. They drink beer, and they talk about true crime. So
are you saying that you wouldn't listen to a podcast hosted by Riff from West Side Story?
No, it would have to be like an insanely interesting story for me to listen, and I would be picturing the rat in the sewer the entire time. So that could make it appealing in some ways, I guess, if I didn't have to both look and listen to him. But yeah, so that podcast is good if you like true crime. I've only listened to a couple episodes so far, but they're all really interesting. So I think I will carry on with that endeavor as well. That's what I've been watching. But I will not get over the high of watching Kate and Anthony and Bridgerton. Like, it was so good. No one oversold that. It was really good. And I'm like, do you ever have like where you watch something and then you just like it's like in your head? I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, so good. So good.
Yeah, I unfortunately have Ansel Elgort when he finds out that Marriya's dead.
That's just burned into your retinas forever.
No, I wish you were here because then we could go to the Queen's Ball.
I know. I've been seeing so many people. Well, here's one thing though. You will not catch me in a fucking, what is it? Empire waist dress. I would have to be dead. Have you seen Penelope? It would be like, it would start in the middle of my chest. Like nipples would be below the like seam line there. It would not be a flattering dress style on me. So
that's one way you can be the diamond of this season real quick.
Yeah, it's like, are her nipples above or below? And I'd be like, they're far down. That is cutting my tits right in half there.
And if you have nipple rings, that's the perfect way to showcase.
Like hold the dress up a little bit. They just stick out there. It's like, oh, look at her, she sparkles. So what have you been watching, Marriya?
So I'm still working on my Brendan Fraser binging. I have about 14 left. I have 3 physical DVDs in this apartment that I need to get to.
I like how you say that as if they're like contraband. Like I have 3 physical DVDs.
One of them is from a library in Arizona, so it really it took an adventure to get here. But yeah, so I watched Encino Man because that finally became free. That one's as good as people say. It's weird because it's like I'm not the biggest Pauly Shore person. Speaking of like voices that I'm not the biggest fan of. But that one's about like Sean Astin and Pauly Shore like find a like caveman in their backyard and they like just defrost him and try to teach him human culture and stuff, and it's fascinating.
Wow, they could have defrosted Walt Disney.
I mean, just the head though.
Oh, okay.
So I watched that, and then I just finished Condor. That took me a while. That was like the first season that I did have to buy on DVD for fucking Brendan Fraser, and it was like fine. It's just like your typical CIA DC cop show kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like this guy who works for the CIA went on a Tinder date, and now he's like hiding out in her house, which is why we don't date in DC. It just really cemented that. But it's all about like, it's also not like, it's about a pandemic and like global terrorism and stuff, so it's like not the most comforting watch. And Brendan Fraser does play like a villain, so not my favorite look on him.
Aw.
Brendan, I love you, but I'm not pro that.
I'm not pro villain.
And then I hate myself, so I've been watching, I just finished Is It Cake?
Oh my gosh, I've seen like the Netflix promos for that. I'm confused. So, do the judges only glance them from a distance?
Yeah, which I
It's
don't
like,
think is super fair.
well,
And
like,
then they all have to agree after like 15-20 seconds.
oh, okay. Because like in the promos though, it's like it's going along and it's like, which one of these is cake? And I'm like, it's obvious that one. Like, is it hard to tell? Because it's like bag, like clearly fondant, shaped like a bag. And
Some
I'm
of
like,
them are really bad,
yeah, I'm like,
but some of them are pretty good. I don't know. I like to play along, so I'm pretty good at it.
oh,
I don't I don't bake and or turn things into inanimate objects, but
we can't all do it.
you
We can't all have
you say as if you're a seasoned professional.
that.
Actually, all of these mirrors and lights behind me, they're
It's
cake.
I am cake. I am actually coming. I'm recording from a live studio audience in a separate location. Very realistic movement.
Get out a knife. That's actually what happened in West Side Story.
Yeah, he was like, "Is it cake?" And he was like, "No, damn it! I really thought I was gonna get this one right."
And then fucking Tony's like, "Well, is this cake?"
He's like, that one wasn't it. Maybe it's over here. This is very specific. Have you seen on TikTok? There's like a home inspector that's super popular, and he walks around with a knife and he like stabs different homes to show like really like shitty repair work where it's basically just layers and layers of paint instead of like wood. That's also what it made me think of. So he like stabs his knife in, and like if you're, stabbing wood, it doesn't slide in like butter, but if you're stabbing 10 layers of lead paint, then it just goes right in.
Do we know that this is a home inspector and not just a man in a neighborhood with a knife?
We think, he's the narrator in this TikTok. He's the point of view. He may be unreliable, but we can only go off of his account. Also, like, were those stab wounds like life ending? I don't know.
I
Anytime,
feel like Rip died real quick.
yeah, anytime someone gets stabbed, I'm like, I feel like we can fix that. Like, I have no knowledge of, human anatomy and wounds.
Well,
Like,
especially because he was like, take it out.
I was
And
like,
it's like, aren't you supposed to keep it in?
leave that shit in. Yeah, but if you left it in, how was he supposed to stab Bernardo? We need
And
that.
thus get laid.
Yeah, he had a master plan laid out. It was like, first I see my best friend die in my arms, then I kill her brother, then the magic happens.
Well, he did start his first song with Something's Coming.
Someone's coming, and it's me tonight. Oh, Ansel Elgort. But yeah, I think that wraps up this episode of Kanye West Side Story. It's gonna be a series, actually. An anthology.
Thank you so much for listening. This has been Remake Hot Take. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Gmail. Remake Hot
SNL
Take.
producers.
You can find me, Marriya Schwarz, not Marriya. You did not meet a girl named Marriya. Also, most beautiful sound in the world, Marriya. I took offense.
You're like, actually, least favorite.
But yeah, you can find me at Marriya Schwarz on Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, honestly, Gmail. Like, literally everything. Brooke, would you like people to find you?
They can if they want. I am Brooke _Reese Cup on Instagram.
Aren't you B_Reese Cup?
Oh, yeah. I think so. B_Reese Cup. Scratch that first one. You know, it's usually not me.
You were just introducing yourself.
You can find me. I'm Brooke Rees. Social security number 21. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, normally my social media team is logging into the account, so I wouldn't know them. Yeah, but B_Reese Cup. I think it's Reese Brooke 1 on Twitter. I've been tweeting a lot. They're not all good.
No, they're all good.
Sometimes people like them. So that's it.
So it's good to see you tonight.
There's a party on the rooftop, top of the world.
I was trying to do West Side Story, but I went out of tune.
Tonight. Dancing on top of the world. I don't know if I'll make it, but watch how good I'll fake it. It's all right.
What is this?
All right. Tonight by Hot Shell Ray.
Oh, I was like, you saw a different West Side Story.
It's the one my mom wrote. You know, some songs were the same, but others we took some liberties. Okay.
Bye.
End scene. Goodbye, people.